Fair, accurate, to the point. You're watching Silver Valley News with John Webb.
With much of the COVID-19 news coverage surrounding many people on the front lines, we thought we'd stop by the Wallace Jr. Senior High School to see how students and teachers are faring during this pandemic.
Just miss the students, wish they were back.
It's odd. It's kind of bizarre. I miss the students.
I do miss my teachers and my friends.
I know me and a lot of my close friends, we're pretty bummed, but we're trying to make the best of it.
And that's all you can really do at this point. That's a couple of students and teachers from the Wallace Jr. Senior High School, and they all have the same feeling about the COVID-19 situation. The school was one of the last districts to close in the state of Idaho. With schools closed and shifting many classes to online, there's been some talk about education across America. Some argue that this is a great opportunity for students to learn and adapt to a different environment, and others say this could put a gap in education. Patrick Specht, a math teacher, says he's actually had to backtrack and go to review since leaving the classroom.
About 40% of the students were getting stuff done, and 60% I haven't even heard from or have not, in no activity. So I've gone from introducing new material now to backtracking, and instead of widening the gap between the students that are doing work and those that are not, I've gone to review. And my goal in doing that, going to review, is whether it's I have the kids next year in math or whether they go to Mrs. Day, really trying to get to where when the students come back to school, that teacher can just start at a certain point and say, we're going from here, even if it's to go back a little bit.
Jennifer Brands, a math and science teacher, says she's been seeing the same amount of participation, but those who typically succeed and do well in class are the ones who aren't doing the classwork.
It's pretty easy to just ignore it, and especially with the ease in grading that it's only worth 10%. A lot of them are like, I'm good.
Switching to online from in-class structure can be difficult for anyone, particularly students who have never done something like this before. Mnkenna Merrick, a junior, says it's difficult not having an in-person teacher.
It's been different not being in the class and doing the work at the same time. It's easier while you're sitting in a classroom and say, hey, what does this mean, than having to type it out and wait for their response.
Some teachers are trying to be more adaptive and available to students like Merrick. Brands is holding Zoom meetings for students who have any type of question.
They do ask direct questions. I'm holding Zoom meetings and stuff, but I think a lot of kids are hesitant to get on there, and there's the comfort level isn't there to get on there and ask me a lot of questions like they could.
Overall, Brand says she's tried to keep her class on track and as close as possible to what students would have been learning inside the classroom.
I do all of my lectures online. I have a YouTube channel now, how fun, and try to do all my lectures online so they'll see that, and try to pretty much keep as much the same as possible with less rigor, since I'm not as available as a resource for the kids.
Some of her physics students are working on a hands-on lab that materials had to be provided for, but the majority of her classes have been using online simulations, something she typically wouldn't teach.
It's been an uphill battle.
Brandon Voorhees, the new shop teacher, is running into the same problem as Brands. Voorhees says it's been difficult as a shop teacher trying to provide equipment for his students.
For a shop teacher, where most of my lessons are spent in the shop using power tools, building stuff, that came to a halt.
As did many things for students in classes similar to shop. However, teachers are becoming more creative with distant learning. Voorhees is actually still having his students build CO2 cars out of a chunk of wood.
For the younger kids, junior high kids, I was able to send some projects home, send some hand tools home with them so they could still build their projects. And so that's been somewhat successful so far. We'll find out when the students turn them in about a week or so.
Typically, you'd see students running up and down these hallways and using these very same exact lockers, but not a single student is in this building, and it's been that way for well over a month now.
Well, it's sad just because I feel like everyone gets those feelings of walking into the gym that's just packed full of people. And
that's Kelly Davis, ASB president and a graduating senior this year. Unfortunately, many seniors won't have a proper graduation, if one at all.
Those holding back tears of joy. You finally did it, you know. Like, we're not going to have that no matter what. We're not going to have the packed gym. We're not going to have the whole community there. If anything, it's just going to be our family.
Which Davis says is important. She, alongside many of her classmates, have come to the reality of the situation and are just trying to make best of what they've got left. As for a Wallace graduation, we spoke with Principal Chris Lund, and he says that they will hold some sort of ceremony strictly enforcing social distancing. Lund said it will most likely take place on the original date it was scheduled for. Through all of these interviews, we learned one thing, and that's how excited everyone is to get back to school.
I'm excited to go back, and I feel like the first day of school this year is going to be a lot different from every other day because you're going to see your friends more. And
things will be back to normal. John Webb, Silver Valley News.